Listen carefully. Wealth is not created by luck. It is not created by talent. And it is definitely not created by working harder than everyone else. Wealth is created by how you think. Right now, there are two types of people in the world: those who trade time for money and those who make money work for them. The difference is not opportunity. The difference is mindset. In the next hour, you are going to dismantle the thinking patterns that keep people broke and replace them with the exact mental frameworks used by the wealthy. This is not motivation. This is reprogramming.
Listen carefully. This is where everything changes. The difference between broke and wealthy is not effort. It is not intelligence. It is not even opportunity. It is perspective. Workers think one way. Owners think another way. And that single shift changes everything. Most people wake up and immediately think like workers. What time do I start? How much will I get paid? How do I keep this job safe? That is worker thinking. It is survival thinking. It is limited thinking. It is controlled thinking. And here is the harsh truth. If you only think like a worker, you will always be paid like a worker. Repeat that. If you only think like a worker, you will always be paid like a worker. Now understand this. Workers trade time for money. Owners build systems that make money without their time. Workers ask, how many hours do I need to work? Owners ask, how can this work without me? That is the shift. That is the separation. Look at the real world. An employee works 8 hours and gets paid once. An owner builds a system and gets paid 24 hours a day, even when they sleep, even when they travel, even when they do nothing. Why? Because they own. And ownership creates freedom. Repeat that. Ownership creates freedom. You must understand this at a deep level. Time is limited. You have 24 hours. I have 24 hours. Every successful person you admire has the same 24 hours. So if you rely only on your time to make money, you are already capped. You are already limited. You are already stuck. This is why working harder does not make you rich. Let me say that again. Working harder does not make you rich. It makes you tired. It makes you busy. But it does not make you wealthy. Because effort does not scale. Ownership scales. Think about this. If you stop working today, does your income stop? If the answer is yes, you are still thinking like a worker. And there is no shame in that. But there is a cost. A very expensive cost. Now flip T. Now flip the mindset. Stop asking, how can I earn money today? Start asking, how can I build something that earns money forever? That question alone will change your life. Owners think in assets. What is an asset? Something that puts money in your pocket without requiring your constant effort. A business, a digital product, content, investments. These are assets. And assets pay you repeatedly. Workers focus on income. Owners focus on assets. Workers chase paychecks. Owners build machines. Repeat it. Workers chase paychecks. Owners build machines. Let me give you a simple example. A worker writes content for someone else and gets paid once. An owner creates content for themselves and earns from it again and again and again. Same effort, different thinking, massively different results. This is why ownership is power. When you own, you control the system. When you don't, you are part of someone else's system. And systems always pay the owner more than the worker. Always. Now here's where most people fail. They think ownership is too risky. They say, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I lose money? But they never ask, what if staying a worker costs me my entire life? Because it does. You are not just trading time for money. You are trading your freedom. You are trading your options. You are trading your future. So here is the shift you must make starting today. Stop thinking like someone who needs permission. Start thinking like someone who creates opportunity. Stop asking for jobs. Start building value. Stop depending on systems. Start owning systems. And understand this clearly. You don't become an owner overnight, but you start thinking like one immediately. That is where it begins. Every decision from today forward must pass one filter. Does this move me closer to ownership or keep me in dependency? If it keeps you dependent, question it. If it builds ownership, pursue it. Because in the end, there are only two paths. The path of constant effort or the path of leveraged ownership. One keeps you busy. The other makes you free. So choose carefully, because your future income, your future freedom, your future life will be decided by one thing: how you think. And from this moment forward, you are no longer thinking like a worker. You are thinking like an owner. Listen carefully. This chapter will break a belief that has controlled your entire life. You were taught that hard work equals more money. You were taught that effort determines income. You were taught that if you grind long enough, success will come. That is not true. Let me say it clearly. Your income does not reflect your effort. Your income reflects your identity. Most people never question this. They just work harder, longer hours, more stress, more sacrifice, and yet nothing changes. Why? Because they are trying to change their income without changing who they believe they are. Understand this deeply. You do not get paid for how hard you work. You get paid for how valuable you believe you are. Repeat it. You get paid for how valuable you believe you are. Two people can work the same hours, same effort, same time, same energy, but one earns 10 times more. Why? Identity. One sees themselves as replaceable. The other sees themselves as rare. One accepts whatever is offered. The other demands what they are worth. This is not about arrogance. This is about self-perception. Because the world treats you exactly how you treat yourself. If you believe you are average, you will accept average pay. If you believe you are limited, you will live within limits. If you believe you are replaceable, you will be replaced. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people are underpaid because they believe they deserve less. Your identity sets your ceiling. Let me repeat that. Your identity sets your ceiling. If you internally see yourself as a $500 per month person, you will find a way to stay there. If you see yourself as a $5,000 per month person, you will behave differently. You will speak differently. You will decide differently. You will act differently. Because identity drives behavior, and behavior drives results. This is why some people walk into opportunities, and others hesitate. It's not intelligence. It's identity. Rich thinkers do not wait to feel ready. They decide who they are, and then they act accordingly. They say, I am the kind of person who creates value. I am the kind of person who gets paid well. I am the kind of person who solves big problems. And then they move like it. Poor thinking says, let me prove myself first, then I'll raise my value. Wealth thinking says, I raise my identity first, then I prove it. That is the shift, and it is everything. Now listen closely. If your identity is small, you will sabotage big opportunities. You will hesitate. You will overthink. You will delay. Because deep down, you don't believe you belong there. And when you don't believe you belong, you pull yourself back. Every time. This is why mindset is not optional. It is foundational. You cannot outwork a weak identity. You cannot hustle your way past self-doubt. You cannot build wealth while thinking small. So what do? You rebuild your identity. Intentionally. Daily. You stop saying, I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. I need more time. And you start saying, I figure things out. I create opportunities. I increase my value. Because repetition builds belief. And belief builds identity. Now here's the practical truth. When your identity shifts, you start charging more, saying no more, taking bigger risks, entering bigger rooms, solving bigger problems. And guess what happens? Your income follows. Because income is a byproduct, not a starting point. Stop focusing only on money. Start focusing on who you are becoming. Because once your identity upgrades, your standards upgrade, your decisions upgrade, your life upgrades. Let me make this unforgettable. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your identity. So if your identity stays the same, your income will stay the same. This is why transformation is internal first, external later. So here is your assignment. From this moment forward, stop asking, how can I earn more? Start asking, who do I need to become to earn more? Because the moment you become that person, the money has no choice but to follow. And from today, you are no longer someone who works harder for money. You are someone who becomes more valuable and gets paid accordingly. Listen carefully. This is where most people stay stuck for life. They chase money. Every day, running after it. Every month, waiting for it. Every year, needing more of it. And the harder they chase, the further it feels. Here is the truth you were never taught. Money is not something you chase. Money is something you attract through systems. Let that sink in. If you are constantly chasing money, you will always be behind it. But if you build systems, money starts coming to you. Most people live like this. Work, get paid, spend, repeat. That is not a system. That is a cycle. A tiring, endless, draining cycle. And cycles keep you stuck. Systems set you free. So what is a system? A system is something that produces results without requiring your constant effort. Read that again. Without requiring your constant effort. Because if money only comes when you work, then money owns you. But when money comes, even when you're not working, you own the system. This is the shift. From effort to design. From chasing to attracting. From working to building. Think about this. A person who works a job must show up to get paid. But a person who builds a system gets paid when someone buys, gets paid when someone clicks, gets paid when someone watches, gets paid when someone invests. They get paid repeatedly. Same 24 hours. Different structure. Different results. This is why rich thinkers focus on building, not chasing. They ask, how can I create something once that pays me again and again? That question alone builds wealth. Let's make it practical. A worker trades time for money once. A system multiplies that effort infinitely. Example, you create something valuable one time. A product, a video, a service system, an investment, and it continues to generate income. Not once, but again and again and again. This is the power of systems. Now understand this. Effort has limits. Systems do not. You can only work so many hours. But a system runs 24 hours, runs globally, runs without emotion, runs without excuses. This is why chasing money keeps you small. Because it depends on your time, your energy, your presence, and all of those are limited. But systems remove that limit. Here's where most people go wrong. They focus on quick money, fast results, instant rewards. But systems take time to build. And that's why most people quit. Too early, too soon, too impatient. They say, it's not working. But what they really mean is, it's not working fast enough. Rich thinkers understand this. Slow systems create fast wealth later. They delay gratification. They build quietly. They stay consistent. And then one day, the system starts paying them. Not because of luck, but because of design. So stop asking, how can I make money today? Start asking, what system can I build today that will pay me tomorrow, next month, next year? That is the question that builds wealth. Now let's go deeper. Systems are built on value. If your system does not solve a problem, it will not attract money. Money flows to value. Always. So your focus is simple. Solve problems. Create value. Build systems around it. Repeat it. Solve problems. Create value. Build systems. That is the formula. And once the system is built, you improve it. You scale it. You optimize it. Not by working harder, but by making the system better. Because remember, you are not here to work forever. You are here to build something that works for you. Let me say that again. You are not here to work forever. You are here to build something that works for you. So from today, stop running after money. Stop exhausting yourself. Stop depending on effort alone. Start thinking like a builder. Start thinking like a creator. Start thinking like a system designer. Because once your system is in place, money stops being something you chase and becomes something that comes to you automatically, consistently, predictably. And that is when everything changes. From this moment forward, you are no longer chasing money. You are building systems that attract it. Listen carefully. This is the mindset that separates those who stay average from those who build real wealth. Time, not just how you use it, but how you see it. Most people think in days. What can I earn today? What can I get this week? How fast can I win? That is short-term thinking. That is survival thinking. And survival thinking keeps you stuck. Here is the truth. Wealth is not built in days. Wealth is built in decades. Let that sink in. Because if you are chasing fast results, you are building a fragile life. Short-term thinking creates quick wins, quick losses, constant stress, endless pressure. But long-term thinking creates stability, creates growth, creates compounding. And compounding is everything. Small actions repeated over time turn into massive results. Not immediately, but inevitably. This is why rich thinkers are patient. Not lazy, patient. They understand. What I build today will multiply tomorrow. But most people quit before multiplication happens. They plant a seed and dig it up the next day because it didn't grow fast enough. That is the problem. Impatience. Repeat this. Impatience destroys wealth. Patience multiplies it. Now think about this. Two people start at the same point. One focuses on quick money. The other focuses on long-term growth. After 1 year, the first person might look ahead. Faster results, quick cash, immediate rewards. But after 10 years, the second person dominates. Because their decisions were built to last. This is the power of thinking in decades. When you think long-term, you make better decisions. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop reacting emotionally. You start building strategically. Because you are no longer asking what feels good right now. You are asking, what builds my future? That question changes everything. Rich thinkers sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term freedom. Poor thinking sacrifices long-term freedom for short-term comfort. And that is why most people stay stuck. Let's make it practical. When you think in days, you spend money quickly. You look for fast results. You avoid discomfort. When you think in decades, you invest money wisely. You build slowly. You embrace discomfort. Because you understand something powerful. Time is your greatest asset. And when used correctly, time multiplies everything. Your skills, your income, your opportunities. But only if you stay consistent. Consistency over time beats intensity for a short period. Every time. This is why discipline matters. Because discipline allows you to stay in the game long enough to win. Now listen closely. If you keep jumping from one thing to another, you reset your progress every time. You stay in the beginning phase forever. And beginners never build wealth. Builders do. Builders commit. Builders stay. Builders grow. They understand. It may take years, but it will be worth it. And they are right. Because wealth is not a quick event. It is a long process. So from today, stop measuring success by days. Stop judging progress by weeks. Stop expecting instant results. Start measuring in years. Start building in decades. Start thinking long-term. Because the moment you shift your time horizon, you shift your entire life. You become calmer, more focused, more strategic. You stop chasing. You start building. And slowly, quietly, powerfully, your life begins to compound. Let me leave you with this. Short-term thinking keeps you busy. Long-term thinking makes you wealthy. So decide right now. Are you building for today? Or are you building for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Because your answer to that question will define your future. And from this moment forward, you are no longer thinking in days. You are thinking in decades. Listen carefully. This is one of the biggest lies you've ever been told. Risk is dangerous. So you were trained to avoid it. Stay safe. Play small. Don't try too much. And slowly, without realizing it, you built a life of limitation. But here is the truth. Risk is not dangerous. Ignorance is. Let that hit you. Because most people are not poor because they took risks. They are poor because they avoided them. Understand this clearly. Every opportunity carries risk. Every decision carries uncertainty. There is no path in life without risk. So the question is not, should I take risks? The real question is, which risks are worth taking? And that answer comes from one thing. Knowledge. Ignorance makes risk feel terrifying. Knowledge makes risk manageable. When you don't understand something, it feels dangerous. When you study it, it becomes a strategy. This is why wealthy thinkers don't avoid risk. They reduce ignorance. Repeat this. They don't avoid risk. They reduce ignorance. Let's make it real. Two people see the same opportunity. One says, that's too risky. The other says, I need to understand this better. Listen carefully. This is one of the biggest lies you've ever been told. Risk is dangerous. So you were trained to avoid it. Stay safe. Play small. Don't try too much. And slowly, without realizing it, you built a life of limitation. But here is the truth. Risk is not dangerous. Ignorance is. Let that hit you. Because most people are not poor because they took risks. They are poor because they avoided them. Understand this clearly. Every opportunity carries risk. Every decision carries uncertainty. There is no path in life without risk. So the question is not, should I take risks? The real question is, which risks are worth taking? And that answer comes from one thing. Knowledge. Ignorance makes risk feel terrifying. Knowledge makes risk manageable. When you don't understand something, it feels dangerous. When you study it, it becomes a strategy. This is why wealthy thinkers don't avoid risk. They reduce ignorance. Repeat this. They don't avoid risk. They reduce ignorance. Let's make it real. Two people see the same opportunity. One says, that's too risky. The other says, I need to understand this better. That shift changes everything. Because now you are not avoiding. You are preparing. And preparation leads to action. Let me make this clear. You will never feel 100% ready. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be unknowns. But that is not a signal to stop. That is a signal to learn and move forward. Because action with knowledge beats hesitation with fear. Every time. So from today, stop running from risk. Stop hiding in comfort. Stop choosing safety over growth. Start learning. Start analyzing. Start stepping forward intelligently. Because the goal is not to eliminate risk. The goal is to eliminate ignorance. Repeat this. Risk is not dangerous. Ignorance is. And once you understand that, you stop fearing opportunity and start recognizing it. From this moment forward, you are no longer someone who avoids risk. You are someone who studies it, understands it, and uses it to move ahead. Listen carefully. This chapter will challenge what you've been taught your entire life. Save your money. Don't spend too much. Put it aside for safety. Sounds smart. Sounds responsible. Sounds safe. But here's the truth. Saving money alone will not make you rich. Let that sink in. Because most people spend their entire lives saving and still struggle financially. Why? Because saving protects money, but it does not grow it. Repeat this. Saving preserves. Multiplying creates. If your money is just sitting, it is not working. And if it's not working, it's slowly losing value. Inflation eats it. Time weakens it. Opportunities pass it. So while you think you're being safe, you're actually falling behind. Now understand this clearly. Money is not meant to sit. Money is meant to move. Because movement creates growth. Rich thinkers don't just save money. They deploy it. Strategically. Intentionally. Relentlessly. They ask, how can this money make more money? That is the question. That is the mindset. Poor thinking says, how can I protect this money? Wealth thinking says, how can I multiply this money? And that single shift changes everything. Let's be clear. Saving is not useless. You need stability. You need a foundation. But saving is step one, not the destination. The problem is, most people never move past step one. They hold on to money tightly, afraid to lose it, afraid to risk it, afraid to use it. And that fear keeps them stuck. Because money sitting still creates no future. Now listen carefully. Multiplying money requires one thing. Action. You must put your money into environments where it can grow. That could be investments, businesses, skills that increase your income, assets that generate returns. The exact vehicle doesn't matter as much as the principle. Money must be put to work. Repeat it. Money must be put to work. Because when your money works, you don't have to work as much. That is the goal. Now here's where most people hesitate. They think, what if I lose it? And yes, that is possible. But here's the real question. What happens if you never try to grow it? Because in that case, you are guaranteed to stay where you are. No growth, no expansion, no freedom. So the risk is not just in losing money. The risk is in never multiplying it. And that risk is far greater. Now let's go deeper. Multiplication is not about luck. It's about strategy. You don't throw money randomly. You learn. You understand. You make informed decisions. Just like in the previous chapter, knowledge reduces risk. So before you multiply, you educate. But once you understand, you act. Because knowledge without action still produces nothing. Now imagine this. You earn money, and instead of spending all of it, or saving all of it, you allocate a portion to growth. Every month, every time, consistently, over time, that money starts producing more money. And then that money starts producing even more money. This is how wealth builds. Not in one moment, but over time, through multiplication. Let me give you a simple truth. You will never save your way to wealth, but you can invest your way there. That is the shift. Stop thinking like a protector. Start thinking like a multiplier. Because protectors stay stagnant. Multipliers expand. Now from this moment forward, every time money enters your life, ask one question. How can I multiply this? Not all of it, but some of it. Consistently. Because consistency creates compounding. And compounding creates wealth. So stop holding money still. Stop fearing movement. Stop choosing safety over growth. Start deploying. Start building. Start multiplying. Because the goal is not to just have money. The goal is to make money. Make more money. Repeat this. Money that sits shrinks. Money that moves multiplies. And from today, listen carefully. This chapter is not about money. It's about what controls your money. Your emotions. Most people don't lose money because they are stupid. They lose money because they are emotional. Fear, greed, Impatience, ego. These are the real reasons people stay broke. Let me say it clearly. If you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your financial life. Because money decisions are emotional decisions. You think you're being logical. You think you're being rational. But most of the time, you're reacting. You buy because you feel excited. You sell because you feel scared. You quit because you feel tired. You avoid because you feel uncertain. That is emotional living. And emotional living is expensive. Repeat this. Emotion is expensive. Now understand this. Rich thinkers are not emotionless. They feel everything, but they don't act on everything. That is the difference. They pause. They analyze. They decide with clarity, not impulse. Poor thinking reacts instantly. Wealth thinking responds deliberately. And that one pause saves money, builds wealth, protects progress. Let's make it real. Someone sees an opportunity. The emotional thinker says, "This looks exciting. Let me jump in." No research, no strategy, just feeling. And when things go wrong, fear takes over. They panic. They quit. They lose. Now look at the disciplined thinker. They see the same opportunity. They say, "Let me understand this first." They study. They analyze. They plan. And when things fluctuate, they stay calm. Because their decision was not emotional. It was intentional. This is the power of emotional control. Now here's another truth. Your emotions are not the problem. Your lack of discipline is. You will feel fear. You will feel doubt. You will feel excitement. That is normal. But acting on every emotion, that is the mistake. Because feelings change. But decisions have consequences. Let me repeat that. Feelings change. Decisions have consequences. So if your decisions are based on feelings, your results will be unstable. Up one day, down the next. Winning, losing, repeating. That is not wealth. That is chaos. Now listen closely. Discipline is what separates the two. Discipline says, "I don't care how I feel. I follow the plan." Because plans are built with logic. Emotions are temporary. This is why systems matter. Rules matter. Structure matters. Because when emotions rise, your system keeps you grounded. Without structure, you drift. With structure, you stay in control. Now let's go deeper. Emotional control is not just about money decisions. It's about consistency. You don't feel like working? You still work. You feel distracted? You still focus. You feel tired? You still show up. Because success is not built on feelings. It is built on repetition. And repetition requires control. This is why most people fail. Not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack discipline. They start strong, then emotions take over. They get excited, then distracted. They get motivated, then tired. They get confident, then doubtful. And every time, they stop. But wealth is built by those who continue, even when they don't feel like it. Let me make this clear. Your emotions are temporary. Your results are permanent. So stop letting temporary feelings control permanent outcomes. Now here's your shift. From today, you don't react. You respond. You don't panic. You analyze. You don't follow feelings. You follow strategy. Repeat this. I don't follow emotions. I follow systems. Because systems create stability. And stability creates growth. So when fear shows up, you don't run. You learn. When excitement shows up, you don't jump blindly. You verify. When doubt shows up, you don't stop. You continue. That is emotional control. And that is power. Because once you control your emotions, you control your decision. And once you control your decisions, you control your future. So understand this deeply. You don't need more motivation. You need more discipline. You don't need to feel ready. You need to act anyway. And from this moment forward, you are no longer controlled by how you feel. You are controlled by what you decide. Because if you don't control your emotions, they will control your money. And that will keep you broke. Listen carefully. Everything you want is on the other side of discomfort. Let that sink in. Because most people spend their entire lives avoiding discomfort. They avoid hard work. They avoid rejection. They avoid failure. They avoid uncertainty. And in doing so, they avoid growth. Here is the truth. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Repeat it. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Your comfort zone feels safe. It feels familiar. It feels easy. But it is also where nothing changes. No growth. No expansion. No breakthroughs. Just repetition. The same life. The same results. The same limitations. Because comfort keeps you where you are. Discomfort moves you forward. Now understand this deeply. Every level of success requires a new level of discomfort, more responsibility, more pressure, more uncertainty. So if you keep avoiding discomfort, you keep avoiding the next level. Let me say it clearly. If you only do what feels comfortable, you will never become more than you are. This is why wealthy thinkers train themselves differently. They don't run from discomfort. They lean into it. They expect it. They embrace it. They use it because they understand something powerful. Discomfort is a signal of growth. When something feels hard, that means you are expanding. When something feels unfamiliar, that means you are learning. When something feels uncomfortable, that means you are evolving. But most people misinterpret this. They feel discomfort and think, this isn't for me. So they stop. They retreat. They go back to what's easy. And they stay stuck. Now listen closely. Discomfort is not a warning to stop. It is a sign to continue. Repeat that. Discomfort is not a warning to stop. It is a sign to continue. Let's make it real. Starting something new feels uncomfortable. Speaking up feels uncomfortable. Taking risks feels uncomfortable. Investing in yourself feels uncomfortable. But those are the exact actions that create change. So if you wait until you feel comfortable, you will wait forever. Because growth never feels comfortable. This is why discipline matters. Because discipline allows you to act, even when it feels uncomfortable. You don't wait for confidence. You build it through action. You don't wait to feel ready. You move anyway. Because action creates clarity, not the other way around. Now here's another truth. Your brain is designed to protect you, not to grow you. It wants safety. It wants certainty. It wants comfort. But what protects you will not grow you. So you must override that instinct. You must choose growth over comfort again and again. This is a daily decision. Do you choose what's easy, or do you choose what moves you forward? Because those two paths lead to completely different lives. The easy path leads to stagnation. The uncomfortable path leads to transformation. And transformation is never easy. Now listen carefully. You don't need to become fearless. You need to become comfortable with discomfort. That's the goal. You will still feel doubt. You will still feel resistance. You will still feel pressure. But you move anyway, because you understand. This feeling is temporary, but the results are permanent. Repeat it. This discomfort is temporary, but the results are permanent. So instead of avoiding discomfort, start seeking it. Ask yourself, what is the uncomfortable action I'm avoiding right now? And then do it. Because that action is your next level. That conversation you're avoiding. That skill you're delaying. That risk you're afraid to take. That is the door. And discomfort is the price of entry. So pay it. Because on the other side is growth, is confidence, is opportunity, is wealth. Now from this moment forward, you stop chasing comfort. You start chasing growth. You stop avoiding pressure. You start building strength. You stop waiting to feel ready. You act anyway. Because you understand now. Comfort keeps you the same. Discomfort makes you better. And from today, you are no longer someone who runs from discomfort. You are someone who uses it to rise. Listen carefully. This habit is silently destroying your progress. Seeking approval. Wanting people to agree with you. Wanting people to support you. Wanting people to understand you. And because of that, you hesitate. You delay. You shrink. Here is the truth. Approval does not build success. Results do. Repeat it. Approval does not build success. Results do. Most people are not stuck because they lack opportunity. They are stuck because they care too much about what others think. They ask, what will people say? What if they judge me? What if I fail in front of them? And just like that, they stop. This is approval addiction. And it is expensive because every time you choose approval, you sacrifice progress. Let me say it clearly. You cannot build a powerful life while needing constant approval. Why? Because approval is unpredictable. Some people will support you. Some people will doubt you. Some people will misunderstand you. And if your actions depend on their opinions, you will never move consistently. One day you feel confident. The next day you feel discouraged. Not because your ability changed, but because someone's opinion did. That is not power. That is dependency. Now understand this deeply. People who build success do not wait to be understood. They act. They build. They move forward, regardless of opinions. Because they are focused on results. Results are real. Results are measurable. Results speak louder than opinions. Repeat this. Results silence opinions. When you have no results, everyone has something to say. When you have results, no one argues. This is why you must shift your focus. Stop asking, Do they approve of me? Start asking, am I producing results? That question alone will change your behavior, because now you are not performing for people. You are producing outcomes. Now let's go deeper. Seeking approval comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of failure. But here's the reality. You will be judged anyway. No matter what you do, someone will criticize, someone will doubt, someone will disagree. So trying to please everyone is a losing game, because it's impossible. And while you're trying to be liked, someone else is building. While you're hesitating, someone else is executing. While you're overthinking, someone else is winning. That is the cost. Now listen carefully. Confidence is not built by approval. It is built by action. Every time you act, you prove something to yourself, not to others, to yourself. And that builds internal strength. Because real confidence does not come from people clapping. It comes from knowing you are moving forward. Now here's the shift. From today, you stop explaining yourself. You stop seeking validation. You stop waiting for agreement. You start executing. Because execution creates evidence. And evidence builds belief. Let me make this clear. You don't need more approval. You need more results. So instead of asking for permission, take action. Instead of waiting for support, move forward. Instead of explaining your plans, build them. Because in the end, no one respects talk. Everyone respects results. Now think about this. Every successful person you admire was doubted at some point, criticized, questioned, misunderstood. But they kept going. They didn't stop to convince people. They focused on building. And eventually, the results spoke for them. That is your path. Not convincing, not explaining, not proving, building, executing, delivering. Repeat this. I don't seek approval. I produce results. Because when you live like this, you become unstoppable. No distractions, no hesitation, no dependency. Just focus, just action, just progress. So from this moment forward, you stop caring about opinions that don't build your future. You stop waiting for people to understand your vision. You move, you build, you execute. Because your job is not to be liked. Your job is to win. And winning comes from results, not approval. Listen carefully. This is where everything starts to scale. This is where effort stops being the limit. This is where wealth accelerates. The word is simple: leverage. And if you don't understand leverage, you will always work harder than necessary, for less than you deserve. Here is the truth. Leverage is the fastest path to wealth. Repeat it. Leverage is the fastest path to wealth. Because without leverage, you are limited. Limited by your time. Limited by your energy. Limited by your capacity. And all of those run out. But leverage removes those limits. Now understand this clearly. Leverage means using something to multiply your output without multiplying your effort. Do less, get more. That is leverage. There are 3 types you must master: time, people, money. Let's start with time. You have 24 hours. No more, no less. If you try to do everything yourself, you will stay small, because your time is finite. So leverage time. How? By focusing only on what matters most and eliminating everything else. Stop doing low-value tasks. Stop wasting hours on things that don't grow you. Because every minute you spend on something small is a minute stolen from something big. Repeat this. Protect your time. Multiply your impact. Now let's go deeper. The second level of leverage is people. This is where growth explodes. You cannot scale alone. Let me say that again. You cannot scale alone. At some point, you must involve others. Because one person can only do so much. But a team can do exponentially more. This is why wealthy thinkers delegate. They don't try to do everything. They focus on what they do best and let others handle the rest. This is not weakness. This is intelligence. Because when you try to control everything, you slow everything down. But when you trust others, you speed everything up. Repeat this. Don't do everything. Direct everything. Now the third level. Money. This is the most misunderstood form of leverage. Most people spend money. Wealth thinkers use money to make more money. They invest it. They deploy it. They multiply it. Because money can work, just like people. And when money works, it doesn't get tired. It doesn't complain. It doesn't stop. It just grows. This is why leverage is powerful. Time gives you focus. People give you scale. Money gives you acceleration. And when you combine all 3, everything changes. Now listen carefully. Without leverage, you are trading effort for income. With leverage, you are multiplying results. That is the shift. This is why some people stay stuck, working harder every year, but not getting ahead, because they are not leveraging. They are grinding, and grinding has limits. Let me say it clearly. Hard work alone will not make you rich. Leverage will. Now here's the mistake most people make. They wait too long to leverage. They say, I'll do everything myself first. I'll figure it all out alone. I'll grow later. And they stay stuck. Because growth requires letting go of control, letting go of small tasks, letting go of doing everything, so you can focus on what matters. Now ask yourself, what is the highest value thing I can do right now? And then ask, what can I stop doing, delegate, or automate? That is leverage thinking. Because your job is not to stay busy. Your job is to be effective. And effectiveness comes from leverage. Now imagine this. Instead of doing everything yourself, you build systems. You involve people. You use money strategically. Now your output grows, without your effort growing at the same rate. That is freedom, because you are no longer trapped by time. You are no longer limited by energy. You are scaling. So from today, stop trying to do everything. Stop glorifying being busy. Stop thinking small. Start leveraging. Leverage your time. Leverage people. Leverage money. Because once you do, you stop working harder and start growing faster. Repeat this. Leverage multiplies everything. And from this moment forward, you are no longer just working. You are scaling. Listen carefully. This is where most people get it completely wrong. They believe effort equals reward. They believe the harder they work, the more they will earn. That sounds fair. But the world is not built on fairness. It is built on value. Let me say it clearly. You are not paid for how hard you work. You are paid for the value you create. Repeat it. Value gets paid. Effort gets ignored. Look around. There are people working 12 hours a day, struggling. And there are people working fewer hours, earning exponentially more. Why? Value. Because the market does not reward effort. The market rewards solutions. If you solve small problems, you get small money. If you solve big problems, you get big money. It's that simple. Now understand this deeply. Effort is invisible. Value is visible. No one sees how hard you tried. They only see what you produced. So if your focus is only on effort, you are missing the point. You can work extremely hard on something that has little value and still get paid very little. That is the trap. Now shift your thinking. Stop asking, how hard am I working? Start asking, how valuable is what I'm doing? That question changes everything. Because now, you are not chasing exhaustion. You are chasing impact. Repeat this. Impact creates income. Now let's go deeper. Value is created in 3 ways. Solving problems, saving time, creating opportunity. The bigger the problem you solve, the more value you create. The more time you save people, the more they will pay you. The more opportunities you create, the more you are rewarded. This is how wealth works. Now look at your current situation. Ask yourself honestly, am I creating high value or just putting in effort? Because if you are only putting in effort, you will stay where you are. But if you increase your value, everything changes. Now here's the next truth. Value is not fixed. It can be increased. You can learn new skills. You can improve your thinking. You can solve bigger problems. And every time you do, your value rises. And when your value rises, your income follows. This is why wealthy thinkers invest in themselves. Not just money, but time. They learn. They grow. They upgrade. Because they understand. The more valuable I become, the more I earn. Now listen carefully. Not all skills are equal. Some skills are low value, easy to replace, easy to ignore, easy to underpay. Other skills are high value, rare, difficult, in demand. And those skills get paid more. So your job is not just to work harder. Your job is to become more valuable. Let me say it again. Your job is to become more valuable. That means learning skills that matter, solving problems that matter, creating results that matter. Because the marketplace rewards relevance. Now here's another shift. Stop measuring your day by how busy you were. Start measuring your day by the value you created. Busy means nothing. Productive means everything. You can be busy all day and achieve nothing. Or you can focus on one high-value action and change everything. That is the difference. Now think about this. If you double your effort, you might double your income. But if you double your value, you can multiply your income. That is leverage. So stop trying to work more hours. Start trying to create more value. Because time is limited. but value is scalable. Now from this moment forward, every decision you make must pass one filter. Does this increase my value? If yes, do it. If no, question it. Because your future income depends on your current value. Repeat this. I don't focus on effort. I focus on value. Because effort can keep you busy, but value will make you wealthy. And from today, you are no longer just working hard. You are becoming valuable. Listen carefully. This may be the most overlooked principle of wealth and the most powerful. Your attention, not your time, not your money, your attention. Because where your attention goes, your life follows. Let me say it clearly. Attention is your most valuable currency. Repeat it. Attention is your most valuable currency. You can lose money and make it back. You can lose time and recover. But misused attention destroys direction. Because attention decides what you think about, what you focus on, what you act on, what you become. So if your attention is scattered, your results will be scattered. Now look at the world. Everything is fighting for your attention. Social media, notifications, endless scrolling, constant noise, all designed to distract you. Because distracted people don't build wealth. Focused people do. This is why rich thinkers protect their attention aggressively. They don't consume everything. They don't react to everything. They don't engage with everything. They are selective, intentional, disciplined, because they understand what you give attention to grows. If you give attention to negativity, you grow negativity. If you give attention to distraction, you grow distraction. But if you give attention to growth, you grow results. That is the law. Now listen carefully. Every time you get distracted, you are paying with your future. Every scroll, every unnecessary click, every moment of wasted focus. It costs you, not immediately, but over time. Lost opportunities, lost progress, lost momentum, all because your attention was stolen. So the question is not, do I have time? The real question is, where is my attention going? Because attention controls time. Now here's the shift. Stop treating attention casually. Start treating it like money. Would you give money to everything? No. Then stop giving attention to everything. Guard it. Protect it. Invest it. Because attention, like money, must be invested wisely. Now let's go deeper. High performers focus deeply. They don't multitask. They don't split attention. They lock in. Because deep focus creates high value. Shallow focus creates weak results. Repeat this. Where attention goes, results follow. So if your attention is weak, your results will be weak. Now ask yourself honestly, what am I giving my attention to every day? Is it helping you grow or keeping you distracted? Because most people don't fail from lack of ability. They fail from lack of focus. Too many distractions, too many interruptions, too little control. And without control, there is no progress. Now here's the discipline. You must create boundaries, limit distractions, control inputs. Choose what deserves your focus. Because not everything deserves your attention. Let me say that again. Not everything deserves your attention. Now imagine this. Instead of reacting all day, you decide what matters. You focus deeply. You execute intentionally. Now your output increases. Your clarity increases. Your results improve. Not because you worked more, but because you focused better. That is power. Now understand this. Attention is not just about avoiding distraction. It's about directing energy toward growth, toward learning, toward building. Because focused attention creates momentum, and momentum creates results. So from today, you stop being available to everything. You stop reacting to everything. You stop consuming everything. You become selective. You become intentional. You become focused. Because your future depends on what you focus on today. Repeat this. I protect my attention like currency. Because once you control your attention, you control your direction. And once you control your direction, you control your life. So choose carefully. Because every second of attention is an investment. Make sure it pays you back. Listen carefully. You are not as independent as you think. Your thoughts, your decisions, your habits are all influenced by the people around you. Let me say it clearly. Your environment shapes your mindset. Repeat it. Your environment shapes your mindset. Most people try to change their life without changing their environment. And that is why they fail. Because no matter how motivated you are, if you are surrounded by small thinking, you will eventually shrink. If you are surrounded by negativity, you will eventually absorb it. If you are surrounded by limitation, you will start believing in limits. That is how powerful your environment is. Now understand this deeply. You don't rise alone. You rise with what surrounds you. Your circle influences what you believe is possible, what you think is normal, what you decide to pursue. So if your circle is small, your thinking will be small. If your circle is average, your results will be average. But if your circle thinks big, you start thinking bigger. This is why wealthy thinkers are intentional about who they surround themselves with. They choose growth. They choose ambition. They choose vision because they understand. You become what you are around. Repeat it. You become what you are around. Now look at your current environment. Be honest. Are the people around you pushing you forward or pulling you back? Do they talk about growth or do they complain? Do they take action or make excuses? Because whatever is normal in your circle becomes normal for you, and normal determines your life. Now here's the truth most people avoid. Sometimes, to grow, you must outgrow people, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. Because if someone is committed to staying the same, and you are committed to growth, there will be tension, and that tension will slow you down. So you must choose comfort or growth. Let me say it clearly. You cannot stay in the same environment and expect a different life. Something must change. Now this doesn't always mean cutting people off. It means upgrading influence. Spend more time with people who think bigger. Learn from those who are ahead. Listen to voices that challenge you. Because proximity creates possibility. Even if you don't have direct access, you can still surround yourself mentally. Books, audio, content, mentors, all of these shape your thinking. Because your brain absorbs what it hears repeatedly. So if you feed it growth, it will think in growth. If you feed it limitation, it will think in limitation. This is why your inputs matter. What you listen to, what you watch, what you read, all of it builds your mindset. Now here's the shift. Stop exposing yourself to average thinking. Stop normalizing excuses. Stop tolerating negativity. Start feeding your mind with expansion. Because when your thinking expands, your actions expand. And when your actions expand, your results expand. Now imagine this. Every day, you are surrounded by people who push you, who challenge you, who think bigger than you. What happens? You rise. Naturally. Because growth becomes normal. And once growth becomes normal, success becomes expected. That is the power of environment. So from today, audit your circle, audit your inputs, audit your influences, and ask, is this helping me grow or keeping me small? If it keeps you small, limit it. If it helps you grow, increase it. Because your future will be shaped by what surrounds you. Repeat this. I choose environments that expand me. Because once you change your environment, you change your thinking. And once your thinking changes, everything changes. From this moment forward, you are no longer leaving your environment to chance. You are designing it for growth. Listen carefully. This is one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make. Relying on one source of income, one job, one paycheck, one stream. It feels stable. It feels secure. It feels predictable. But here is the truth. One income stream is not security. It is vulnerability. Repeat it. One income stream is not security. It is vulnerability. Because the moment that one source stops, everything stops. Your income disappears. Your stability disappears. Your options disappear. And now, you are stuck. This is dependency. And dependency is dangerous. Now understand this clearly. Wealth is not built on dependence. It is built on diversification. Multiple streams, multiple sources, multiple flows of income. Because when one slows down, others continue. That is stability. That is security. Let me say it clearly. Multiple streams create freedom. Repeat it. Multiple streams create freedom. Now look at how most people live. They put all their trust in one source, one employer, one paycheck, one system, and they hope. It never disappears. But hope is not a strategy. Because anything can change. Jobs end. Markets shift. Situations evolve. And if you have only one stream, you have no backup, no control. Now let's shift your thinking. Stop asking, how can I earn more from one source? Start asking, how can I create multiple sources? That question builds security. Now understand this. Multiple streams do not mean doing everything at once. It means building step by step. One stream becomes two. Two become three. Three become more. Gradually. Strategically. Consistently. Because each stream adds strength. Each stream reduces risk. Each stream increases freedom. Now let's make it practical. Your first stream may be active income, something that requires your time, but your next streams should move toward independence, assets, systems, investments, things that generate income without constant effort. Because the goal is not just more income. The goal is less dependency. Repeat this. Less dependency, more control. Now here's where most people hesitate. They think, I don't have time. I don't have money. I'll do it later. But later never comes. Because if you don't start now, you stay dependent. And dependency limits your future. So start small. But start. One idea, one step, one additional stream. And build from there. Because over time, those streams grow. They compound. They expand. They create options. And options are power. Now imagine this. Instead of relying on one paycheck, you have multiple sources coming in. Even if one stops, you are still stable. You are not desperate. You are not stuck. You are in control. That is the difference. Now understand this deeply. The goal is not to work more. The goal is to depend less. Because dependency creates fear, and fear limits action. But when you have multiple streams, you become confident. You become flexible. You become free. So from today, stop putting all your trust in one source. Stop relying on one path. Stop staying dependent. Start building. Start creating. Start diversifying. Because your future should not depend on one thing. Repeat this. I build multiple streams. I reduce dependency. Because once you do, you stop surviving and start controlling your life. And from this moment forward, you are no longer dependent. You are diversified. Listen carefully. Most people never escape survival mode. They wake up, work, pay bills, repeat, day after day, year after year, always thinking about the next expense, the next problem, the next short-term need. This is survival thinking. And survival thinking keeps you trapped. Because when your focus is only on today, you never build tomorrow. Let me say it clearly. If you only think about survival, you will never create legacy. Repeat it. If you only think about survival, you will never create legacy. Now understand this deeply. Survival is about maintaining. Legacy is about building. Survival asks, how do I get through today? Legacy asks, what will exist because I lived? That is the shift. Most people never ask that question. They think small. They act small. They live small. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack vision. And without vision, there is no direction. Now listen carefully. Wealth is not just about money. It is about impact. It is about creation. It is about what you leave behind. Because money can be spent, but legacy remains. Repeat this. Legacy outlives income. Now think about this. Years from now, what will still exist because of you? Your work? Your ideas? Your influence? Your systems? Or nothing? This is not about ego. This is about purpose. Because when you think beyond yourself, you start building differently. You stop chasing quick wins. You start creating lasting value. You stop thinking short-term. You start designing long-term. That is legacy thinking. Now here's the truth. Legacy requires responsibility. It requires discipline. It requires patience. It requires vision. Because you are not just building for now. You are building for the future. And the future requires intention. Now most people avoid this level of thinking. Why? Because it feels big. It feels uncomfortable. It feels overwhelming. But that is exactly why it matters. Because anything that creates real impact requires you to think bigger. So stop asking, how do I survive? Start asking, how do I build something that lasts? That question changes everything. Because now your actions shift. You invest differently. You build differently. You think differently. You focus on things that scale, things that endure, things that matter. Now understand this. Legacy is not built overnight. It is built through consistent action. Over time, small steps, repeated daily, aligned with a bigger vision. And over time, those steps create something powerful, something that outlives you. That is legacy. Now imagine this. Years from now, your work is still generating value. Your systems are still producing income. Your ideas are still influencing people, even when you are not there. That is the goal. Not just success, but significance. Repeat this. I don't just build for today. I build for generations. Because when you think like this, you stop playing small. You stop settling. You stop limiting yourself. You rise. Now from this moment forward, you are no longer focused on survival. You are focused on legacy. You are building something that lasts, something that grows, something that impacts, something that matters. Because your life is not just about getting by. It is about creating something meaningful. So think bigger, act bigger, build bigger. Because in the end, it's not about what you earned. It's about what you built. And from today, you are no longer surviving. You are creating legacy.
Now you understand the truth. Wealth is not about working harder. It is not about luck. It is not about waiting for the right opportunity. It is about how you think every single day. If you still think like a worker, you will stay paid like a worker. If you think like an owner, you will start building assets. If you think long-term, you will outgrow everyone chasing short-term rewards. This is your decision point. You either go back to comfort, distraction, and average thinking, or you commit right now to reprogramming your mind for wealth. No excuses, no delays. Start thinking differently. Start acting differently. Start building differently. Because the moment your thinking changes, your entire life begins to change. Now prove it.